Welcome to Behind the Glass. I'm your host, Vince Capano, a goalie coach working in grassroots hockey. In this podcast series, we dive into the world of hockey, covering youth development and sharing coaching insights and stories from behind the glass. If you're involved in hockey or a fan of the sport, this podcast is for you. Today, we're joined by one of the most respected people in the game, Pete Fry, an author, speaker, and professional goalie mindset consultant. In this conversation, Pete shares his story from a young hockey goalie to now a mental coach for goalies. He discusses the challenges he faced in his early career, the importance of mindset, and the strategy he employs to help goalies overcome fear and anxiety. Let's get into it. I'm so excited. Enjoy. Pete, thank you so much for doing this. Massive fan. I watch all your stuff. When I started coaching, I think I spent hours on your Instagram. So now I'm speaking to you virtually, of course, but I really appreciate you doing this.
You bet. Thanks, Vince. I appreciate having me on. I'm excited.
Awesome. So before we go into more your coaching or all the client stuff, I really wanted to focus on you as how you started. So your WHL journey. Tell us those 5 years of play. What was that like?
Yeah, well, that was interesting. I'm originally from Toronto, and my family moved out. They moved out west when I was 8 years old, I think. I think it was 8 years old, 9 years old. So it was quite a shock because I was used to in Toronto, everything was hockey, right? Everyone that went to school played hockey. And then when I moved to Victoria, it was a shock because, maybe 30% of the people played hockey. That was about it. I felt sorry for the other 70% that didn't play. And anyways, I first got brought up to Western Hockey when I was 15 years old. So my first experience. And I was in grade 10. I was in science class. And I got a call and to go to the principal's office. I thought, oh, great. I'm going to get in trouble again for something, right? and so go to the principal's office. My dad on the phone because before we had cell phones, believe it or not. And so he goes, the Portland Winterhawks are bringing you up tomorrow. You have to come home right away. We got to get you a suit and get you ready and stuff. So he came and picked me up and I was like, great. All my classmates were jealous. So we went to, they got me this ugly brown suit and we went there. I remember Gordy Walker was my first kind of mentor. He's a player on the Portland Winterhawks. He helped me tie my tie and all that good stuff. So the first game we were playing, and they said, by the way, because I was only 15, I was grade 10, I was 15, I was 150 pounds. They said, don't worry, you're not going to play. You're just going to sit on the bench. We just wanted you to get the feel for this because they had protected me earlier in the year. That's what they did. That was before they drafted players. They'd put you on a protected list. And so we're playing in Medicine Hat, and Portland they were not a liked hockey team. A lot of teams didn't like them. So the fans were just really yelling at everyone on the team and me and stuff like that, even though I was just on the bench. And about a minute into the game, and Portland had a lot of great players. They had like Cam Neely's now the president of the Boston Bruins, right? He was on the team. A lot of really, really good players there. Bruno Kempesi was the other goalie. Bruno's now a scout for the Vegas Golden Knights, good friend of mine, and quite a few other really, really good name players there. Anyways, you must have been a minute into the game. Our other goalie, Bruno, he gets run by by one of the Tiger players. And he's on the ground, and the coach, Ken Hodge, looks over at me. He's got these big Coke bottle glasses and goes, Peter, get ready. You're going to go in. And I was like, I'd never been so scared in my life. I was 15 years old, 150 pounds. And every negative image that could come up for a goalie came up in my head. What if I go in there and they just light me up? Right. And the fans were they're already chanting Civ, Civ, Civ before I even went in the net and stuff like that. And I was so scared, I could barely move. I'm talking barely. I don't know if you ever had a panic attack or something like that where, you can barely even move. It's like having a nightmare where you're trying to get out of the nightmare and you can't move. It was a similar sort of feeling. And so I'm grabbing my stuff, I'm getting ready, I'm going over, I'm thinking, man, I wanted to grab the mic from the PA announcer and just say, if anyone in this building has goaltending experience, come down to ice level. You can borrow my equipment, because I did not want to go in. And I'm getting ready to go on the ice, and Bruno, fortunately for me at that time, gets up. And so I don't get a chance to play that. When I look back on that first opportunity, I guess, the whole thing that was wrong that I didn't know at the time was when Bruno got hurt, my mindset should have been, this is awesome. I get a chance to go in, right? Although I think a lot of times we can be brought up with that fear of failure. And that's what really, really held me back then. And that's why I do what I do now. Because I have the same thing, almost bouncing back from them to 3 weeks ago, I get a call from an NHL goalie on his way to a game. And a similar situation. He's like, Pete, I've never been this nervous, right? He's like, I've never been this nervous. Last game, I got pulled. It was his first NHL start of the season. And so I was able to walk him through some strategies. And he called me after the game. And he's like, you're from Toronto. He goes, my first shot of the game was 5 minutes into the game. It was a penalty shot by Mitch Marner. They're playing against Vegas. Vegas, pretty good team. And he said, Pete, I used that strategy. I stoned him. He got first star of the game. So that's my why behind what I do now. Anyways, I know you asked me about the Western Hockey League, so that was kind of my first dip into it. And then as a 16-year-old, I was supposed to play for Summerland Buckaroos. It was a BC Hockey League team. That's where they had me slotted to play. I remember in the summer driving to Portland to work at a hockey school there. The goalie who was supposed to be the backup goalie this upcoming year drove me there and was saying, yeah, I'm going to be the backup goalie this year and you'll play in Summerland, and the next year, you'll be my backup and all that stuff. That's how it's planned out. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to training camp. Ed Jones was a guy who was supposed to be the backup goalie. Ian Wood was coming in to be the number one goalie. I go to training camp in Portland that year, and I had at school at the end of the year, I didn't want to wrestle and stuff. They had me in, I had to take all this stuff in PE, and I had this fear of getting hurt for goalie. And of course, I created my own thing. I did something to my Achilles tendon in wrestling. So I had to get my ankle taped up all training camp. It was hard for me to skate and stuff. But at the end of training camp, they called me and they said, we're going to send Ed Jones home. We're keeping you, right? And I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. We really liked your grit and everything that you do and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, great. And so I made the team, and they said, you're not going to play a lot. I was a 16-year-old. And I said, okay. And the other goalie struggled, Ian Wood. He was a draft pick of the Edmonton Oilers, a really nice guy. Struggled the first couple games, so they put me in, and I got first star my first game I played. And they said, okay, we'll play you again. And same thing. I think the first 5 games, I got like a star of the game. Went on this unbelievable run right off the bat. And then it was really strange because the next day, the coach was trying to do something. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he had me pushing nets, right? They kept me on for like a half an hour after practice. It must have been a strategy back then. You're not strong enough or something like that. Just some of their techniques that they used. Anyways, so after that, I just kind of went, I went down for a little bit. It was really an up and down season. But at the end of the day, I played 39 games as a 16-year-old. And I was ranked in the top 3 goalies to get drafted to the National Hockey League the next year. And so I thought, okay, this is great. And then my ego grew. I went back home as a 16-year-old. And in the summer, I hung out with all my buddies in Victoria. And I remember Donnie Meehan. You ever heard of, Donnie Meehan,
yeah,
who he is?
Famous NHL agent. Absolutely.
Even NHL agent, yes. So Donnie Meehan flew to Victoria to meet with Russ Courtnall and myself. You remember Russ Courtnall?
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leaf?
Yeah.
Yep. Back in the day,
Wow.
Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leaf, great player.
Wow.
And so he met with Russ. Then he came to meet with me. And when he's meeting with me, to represent me, and I was actually, my agent was supposed to be Alan Eagleson. Remember Alan Eagleson?
Oh, we know him.
Yes. Yeah, my GM wanted him. Yeah, my GM wanted Alan Eagleson to be my agent, but I didn't get along with our general manager in Portland for a lot of different reasons there. And so I went with Don Meehan, and I remember Don Meehan saying, you know what, you should go skate with Russ Courtnall and the other NHL guys and stuff like that. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I got my friends here that I'm going to skate with and stuff like that. So that was a huge missed opportunity. And one of the things that I didn't understand, and the lesson from that is that who you hang around with is critical, right? Especially like as an athlete, and as an athlete, you don't, as a goaltender or even a player, you have to hang around with other like-minded athletes. They don't have to specifically be from your sport. But if you're hanging around with another driven athlete, then you're going to have the same habits. So my friends didn't have the habits of athletes. And I went back the next year as a 17-year-old, ranked really high, and I had a terrible season. I was in terrible shape, had a terrible season, didn't have the right mindset, and really had no foundation, I think, right? There wasn't a lot of goalie coaching back then, like technical coaching, definitely no mental coaching. Yeah, so I just had a terrible year as a 17-year-old, like really bad. I think I played 31 games, and it was that we weren't a very good team. I think the one game I ended up getting in 4 fights, I think. I think it was 4 fights in one game as a goalie, right? Which is crazy. That now the mind's in the wrong place. We had basically the game before we had a bench clearing brawl, and I didn't fight in the brawl, right? I was playing really well, and then the brawl happened, and I was just into my performance, and I wasn't into fighting at the time. And I remember at the end of the game, the coach just freaking just tore a strip off me when cramps. Like, okay, well, he wants me to fight. So the next game, I'm a kid. I was a 17-year-old kid. So the next game, I start a brawl. I basically start one on the ice. And I look up, remember John Kordick?
Oh, I've heard of, yeah.
Yeah, he was a tough guy. He unfortunately he passed away, right? He played a tough guy for Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens. And so I start this brawl. I get in this first fight with this winger behind the net we were playing at Seattle. This is in Portland. And he ends up on top of me. He was starting to pummel me. Someone pulls him off, right? 'Cause I didn't know how to fight. And so I get up there, and then John Kordick's there, and he's like, why don't you drop your blocker now? He's like challenging me, right? And so I actually hit him with my blocker. And before he could do anything, like this is a real NHL. This is a guy that would go probably toe to toe against even maybe a Bob Probert, right? He was a tough guy. Before he could do anything though, fortunately I was a goalie. Some people jumped in. He might have hit me a couple times, but that was about it. And then I'm skating around with another guy, and I'm holding this guy. If anyone can see, I'm holding this guy around his waist because I didn't know how to fight. And someone's holding me on the shoulders. We're going around, and I look at the bench, and my bench is going like this. They're holding their hands up. Well, they're telling me to hold my hands up here. They're trying to help me. I thought they were telling me to fight. So I look at the guy, and I'm holding him on his waist. He's holding me up here, and I go, I guess we better fight. Right? And so he's like, okay. So he just starts going like this because my hands were holding around his waist, right? And before long, he's on top of me. The jersey's over my head. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been in that position. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was suffocating. It is not a good feeling. And so then finally, the ref pulls him off me, and I get up, and I'm so tired. Like I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, you ever get in one fight? It's really tiring, but 3?
That's a
Like
lot.
3 in a row, like I could not even catch my breath. And then the other goalie on the other team, remember, I was a 17-year-old, maybe 160 pounds at that point. The other goalie on the other Seattle was Larry Dick. He was a 20-year-old, like 210 pounds, and he was built. And so he waves his hands at me like, let's go, a goalie fight, right? I'm like, oh my God. And so I go, what am I going to do? I have to do it, right? So I fight him, and before long, he's like just giving it to me on the back of my head. Anyways, I remember on the way home from the game, all I could see was stars. That was it. Talk about they did not diagnose concussions then, right? So it was bad. It was bad. No great job by the coach. I thought, okay, great, he's gonna love it because I got all these fights. Didn't say anything at all. So next we traveled to Victoria. We're playing Victoria, and we were not winning at the time, and we're at our pregame skate in the morning, and it's one of those ones where the coach goes around and just rips into every player. Right? And I'm thinking, well, when he comes to me, he's going to praise me. He's going to say, "Great job, I know you didn't fight, but that I told you to, and you did, and you made up for it and stuff." And he gets to me, and he's like, "The reason you lost every fight is because you're in such terrible shape." And just, and I was like, I couldn't feel any lower. Like I just couldn't feel any lower. And
Yeah.
anyways, that was probably one of the lowest points, right? Like the
Oh,
year before, remember, Ray Ferrero? Year
yeah.
before he got traded to
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah, they
Wow.
traded Ray Ferrero. Derek Laxdal, who's now a coach in the American Hockey League, got traded to Brandon. All these guys. Anyway, so I got traded to Brandon, and I was at such a low point in my life and hockey career that I quit. I went to training camp. I remember going on the ice with Ron Hextall before training camp. He was getting ready to go to Philly. We were chatting. He was such a great guy, right? Give me all these strategies. strategies that you probably can't use today in the game, right? How to
I don't
sharpen
think
your
so.
stick above the heel. Anyways, but he was a great guy. So from there, I quit. I came home. I played junior A hockey for a bit. It was called the Sydney Capitals, which is now Cowichan Valley Capitals, and they traded me to Spokane. I played one game for Spokane when they came to Victoria. I probably should have went to Spokane, but I just didn't. I didn't want to leave home. I waited till I got traded to Victoria, and then I played there. And then, I had a pretty good last half of the season, an 18-year-old. And then as a 19-year-old, I had a good season. I got drafted by New Jersey, by the New Jersey Devils. And I was an all-star in there. And I basically, when I got drafted, my first thoughts were, I don't have a chance. Right. And it's really weird because the thing that I didn't have, and which I really work with goalies now, is clarity, is being clear on what you want. Because as a goalie, you're going to go through a lot of things that are not going to go well. Like, it's just part of the game. Like, we pick a position of failure, right? And if we don't know how to deal with that and still believe in ourselves and believe that we can really go somewhere, we're just going to beat up on ourselves. And that's what I was doing. And that's one of the main reasons why I do what I do now. And so for example, I'll give you an example. Like when Jakub Dobeš was first sent to me by one of the goalie coaches from the Montreal Canadiens, when I first spoke with him, like, he was in Laval and he wasn't playing that much at the time. And he's such a good person. He's a really good human, right? He's really, really driven and stuff like that. Really nice, funny. And I'm like, Jakub, I go, think of this. I want you to imagine that. What if it's guaranteed you're going to be a Montreal Canadian within, let's say, 30 days? What if that was guaranteed? Like, how would you operate right now if you knew that, if you were so clear on that? And at first he's like, well, I don't even know if they're going to give me a chance, right? Because he wasn't playing full time in Laval quite then yet. But then when he really thought about it, it's like everything changed. You got to remember, at any one time, we are not responding to reality. Like, especially as a goalie, we're responding to the movies and sounds in our head. Totally. So, for example, going back to that time in Medicine Hat when I was 15 years old, I wasn't responding to reality when I was scared. I was responding to the movies, my own movies and sounds in my head. That's it. But we have control over that. And until we understand that, it's like we're a prisoner of our own mind. And so,
Interesting.
so that's what I really
that is
work with goalies on, is getting control over that, right? Like, do you still play?
I do. Like, I play like beer league once in a while, Pete.
Okay.
But so I trained 17 goalies from age 10 to 14, mostly
Good.
at the A level, which is like,
You
it's been
train
such a
them now. Good
blessing.
for you. Yeah.
It's been awesome. And one of the questions I have for you, Pete, is because a lot of them tend to overthink. So
Yes.
I was going to ask you, like, what are some strategies for them to stop overthinking, especially in practice? Because I got 2 goalies, Pete, that I saw from your video, actually, from journaling. And I said, I'm not going to name names, but I said, hey, like, why don't you guys journal before practice and after practice? And even the games too. And then keep kind of a diary so you can reflect. And so all these
Good for
thoughts are
you.
in your journal. I actually got the idea from you. So
No,
that's my question for you, Pete.
Great.
Yeah.
Use it. Yeah. You still play now, though, right?
Yes.
Because it'll be easier if I can do this with you. It'll be easier for you. You'll learn it better. So okay. So when's your next game?
I would say on Wednesday. Yeah.
And how do you feel about the game? Like, when you think about it, you feel good? Do you feel nervous at all?
I've been playing better recently, so I feel better. Yeah. Okay. But I think before I would be nervous.
Are there any things? Okay. So are there any? So I usually do something like this. Are there any things when you play that make you feel nervous or scared or afraid? Any situations in a game where you get uptight, where you maybe hold yourself back? Like, and what I mean by that, it could be if your team is up by a goal and there's only a couple minutes left, or the play's been down the far end for a while, now it's coming up ice, or after not making a save, right? You're having a great game, you're stopping everything, and all of a sudden, goalie doesn't make one save, and then there's 2 or 3 more that aren't made. Right. So
that's, my worry, Pete, is letting in a goal in and then letting in a goal right after. I find like that's the worst feeling for a goalie. Well,
yes,
for myself,
it is. Yes. So when you think of that, when you think of letting in a goal, or I'd like to say not making a save, just a better picture in the head. So go to imagine yourself in your next game right now, and go to a situation where you. And I know we don't like to visualize things not going well, but sometimes it's good. Like I did this with the London Knights the night before the Memorial Cup, where we went through what are some things that can go wrong? How are we going to overcome it? Right. So basically, when you think of not making a save or letting in a goal in your game, and you go there right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, now the puck's just about to drop now, right after not making a save or letting in a goal, how bad is it? Scale of 1 to 10.
I like it at a 9.
A 9. And so when you think of it, is it a movie or a still picture in your head?
It's like a movie of defeat.
Okay, like a movie, right? And is it right in front of you? How close to you is it when you think of it?
It's really close. Like
It's
here.
really close.
Yeah.
Like right there, like a couple inches away. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to go there right now. And is there sound or not?
No.
No
I hear
sound.
anything.
Okay, so it's a movie. It's about 2 inches away. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to push it about a foot away from you in your head. Go ahead, push it a foot away. And does that number 9 change at all? It may or may not.
It goes a little bit down to like a 7.
It's down to 7. Okay.
Yeah.
So push it now about 50 feet away. Does the number go down anymore? And if so, to what?
Goes to like 3. I can see it all the way down there.
Wow. Okay, down to about a 3.
Yeah.
Now, what if you push it 100 feet away and shrink it to the size of a postage stamp? What happens there?
I feel a little bit better, but I still have that anxiety. But it's like still like 2 or 3.
About a 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what if you keep it to shrink it to the size of the postage stamp, make it in black and white, and push it 1,000 feet away? What happens to that number? 1,000 feet away, size of a postage stamp, and black and white.
I feel like it's gone now. It's so far. I can't reach it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now I want you to do this. We're going to do it in this sequence here, okay? So now I want you to do this, okay? So you see it 1,000 feet away, size of a postage stamp. So here's what I want you to do now. Now, in a moment, I'm going to demonstrate it first. You're going to breathe in deeply through your nose. When you breathe out through your mouth, you're going to breathe out hard, and you're going to imagine swatting the rest of that image away with the paddle of your goalie stick, just like you hit a puck out of the air, right? And you're going to imagine swatting the rest of that image away. And when you swat it away, immediately coming back towards you, getting bigger and brighter and bigger and brighter, bigger and brighter, is the movie you being the impenetrable wall. Okay. And is there a certain song that you really like that kind of jacks you up, that you feel confident when you hear it? If not, you can just imagine like Eye of the Tiger. But if there's
Eye of the Tiger, I like that song.
Let's do Eye of the Tiger, right? Yeah, let's do Eye of the Tiger. Okay, ready? So here's what I want. So imagine pushing that old negative movie after not making a save away about 1,000 feet, shrink it down to the size of a postage stamp, black and white. And then what I want you to do now is breathe in deeply through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Imagine swatting the rest of that movie away and replacing it with the movie, you being the impenetrable wall, moving towards you, getting bigger and brighter to the song of Eye of the Tiger. Bigger and brighter, bigger, brighter, bigger, brighter, bigger, brighter. And now do it again. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Imagine swatting the rest of that old negative movie away and replace it with the one of you being an impenetrable wall, moving close to you, getting bigger, brighter, bigger, brighter to the song of Eye of the Tiger. See it clearly. And then one more time. Ready? Breathe in deeply through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Imagine swatting away. Now imagine the movie moving closer to you, you being the impenetrable wall to the song Eye of the Tiger. Dun, 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 dun. See it clearly. Feeling powerful. Okay.
Relaxed.
Fantastic.
Relaxed.
Yes. What did you have for breakfast 2 days ago?
A bagel. Cream cheese bagel.
Don't even worry about it. Okay. I was just trying to kind of interrupt our date here. Okay. Now, if you even try to get that old negative move you're feeling back, can you even get it back if you try to get it back?
Not now.
No, your brain won't let you. You see,
why is that?
Because every fiber in your being wants you to be successful, right? And the only reason that goalies get nervous like that, or you get nervous like that, or I did back in the day, is because we care. That's it. But see, and when we get nervous like that, we don't realize that it doesn't serve us. It's all right to be there's nothing wrong with a little bit of nerves. Like there's nothing wrong with that, as long as we know how to control them and control the movies and sounds in our head. And now your brain knows that those old nerves or feelings don't serve you at all, right? And if you do this enough, eventually your brain will start doing it automatically. So remember now that you know that before you were not responding to reality. You were responding to the movies and sounds in your head. Right? So it's the old fear, right? You think of fear, like that whole what does fear stand for? False evidence appearing real.
Mm.
That's all it is, right? And we can
Wow.
change that evidence. We can
That's
change
amazing.
in a heart. Yeah. There
That's
you
so
go. There
cool.
you go.
I'm gonna use that next
Yeah.
to my play 100%, and I'm gonna tell all the goalies too. One of the things
Oh,
with that, so in goalie training, for example, like I work a lot like one-on-one in practice. The overthinking in like
yep.
one-on-one training,
Okay.
right? Sometimes like goalies will overthink if they're working with their goalie coach or a coach
Yeah.
in comparison to team practices, where sometimes you don't have time to think, but then you kind of reflect after and you get like
Mhm.
I call it like negative energy.
Yes. Yes. Well, and a lot of times team practices are not really goalie friendly, right? Like there's a lot of drills that are not really made for goalies. So I think the key there is number one is to realize that it's like this when we play. And I'll have this all the time. There'll be a goalie will call me and say, I just worked with this new goalie coach and I learned a lot of great stuff. It was really good. And it was really good for the goalie to learn that. He's like, now I'm not stopping as many pucks. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with the new skills or techniques you learned. That has everything to do with focus. Because the reason that the goalie wasn't stopping as many pucks after he learned that, because he's still thinking of these new skills. He's not unconsciously, he or she is not unconsciously competent at these new skills yet. That's all. That's all. And so number one is when you're working with your goalie coach as a goaltender, you just got to understand that. Okay, so if you're working on a team, you want your goalie to get something down, and you're going to work on it again and again. The goalie's got to put a lot of thought and attention to it. Well, if the goalie is because how focus works with us is, you think you take a magnifying glass, you keep it still on some dry brush in the summer, and you're going to start a fire, but you move it and there's no fire, right? So what happens? Studies have shown that when you're focusing on one thing, that's fine. But as soon as you add a second thing, the focus on each of them goes down about 50%. You add a third thing, and one of the first two drops. Well, as a goalie, we have the puck and we have the play already, right? We got two things, right? And we add a third thing in. Okay, now I'm thinking about myself. Where are my hands? Well, the puck or the play drops out of the equation. Or so if we're thinking about a skill. So that's one thing is just realize that. And the second thing I think is for practice, when a lot of practices are not maybe goalie friendly, is to prepare for practice yourself. For example, one of the things that I have for goalies, I think it's here you go. Look at this. It's right here. There you go. It's goalie
There you go.
practice mastery. Yeah, that's
Nice.
Stuart Skinner on the cover there. I worked with him for about 4 or 5 years. And so basically what you do is you prepare for practice just like a game. That's all it's for, right? What are 3 skills I'm going to get better at? You write that the night before, then you do it. And you can do this on your own, a piece of paper if you don't want to buy this, right? With 3 skills I'm getting better at, what are 3 diagram of me getting better at this skill, right? You do a diagram the night before, then you let it sink in. So even goalies training with you, if they're to do this the night before, they're going to get more out of working with you because it's that way it's covered in the head before they even get there, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying for team practice, what's one thing you want to get better at no matter what? I think that is key, and somehow take control.
The famous line, Pete, is for practice. Like you play in practice like you play in a game. And so I
Yeah.
feel like what's so interesting now is that it's really what you do before the game and before practice. So what are some strategies that you recommend to clients or goalies that you work with about strategies before the game?
Well, number one, pregame visualization. I think that's critical, right? Pregame visualization. We walk into the picture, we hold of ourselves. So all my clients that I work with, I do a customized pregame visualization for them. I record it and I send them the recording, right? There's some guys that will still call me before games just to chat, or still some goalies I will still take through a visualization before every game. But a lot of them are really good with the recording that we do, and then I update it from time to time. I think that's pretty critical because we walk into the picture, we hold of ourselves. So that's really important. The second thing is to basically not think about it too much and not do too much the day of the game. I think it's important to rest because I always say we have a certain amount of concentration calories. And if we're doing too much before the game, we're going to use a lot of those concentration calories when I think they need to be reserved in order to play, right? Of course, you want to warm up. You do ball work, whatever you want to do there, right? But just make sure we got a certain routine that you feel good. The ultimate should be when you get on the ice, no matter what, even if the bus or the plane is late and you have no chance to warm up to do anything, then you should be set just by doing your pre-face-off routine. So to me, you got to be confident enough in your pre-face-off routine that you're going to get your ultimate hype level, like level of excitement, 10 out of 10 in confidence, and then dialed in on simply the puck and the play.
Amazing. So I guess we talked about a lot about like mindset and habits. One of the other topics, Pete, that you talk a lot about in your books is potential. So like really the potential like, out of yourself in a long term of development. I want to ask you like, what holds most goalies back? Like, is it skill? Is it belief? Like in your mind, what do you think it is?
Thinking.
Thinking.
Yeah, it's basically thinking. Yeah, it's thinking too small, I believe. A lot of it's thinking too small, but a lot of it's also like this. Like, because here's what happens as a goaltender. I'll give you an example was, Jeff Glass, who was the best junior goaltender in the world at the time, right? He won World Juniors with Sidney Crosby. He was a CHL Goalie of the Year. And basically, he didn't play an NHL game until he was 32 years old. And he had the skills to do it at 21 or 20 or 21. He had the skills to play in the NHL at 21. But what happens a lot is hockey can be pretty negative. Coaching and management can be negative. That they don't mean it intentionally. It just comes out like that. And our mind, we can be like a flea. And what I mean by that is you take a flea. A flea can jump 200 times its body height. You put it in this cup, it's going to jump out of the cup easily. But what happens is you put a lid on the cup, it hits its head a few times. You take the lid off, it's got all the potential to jump out. It'll remain and die in this cup. It will not even attempt to jump out of that, right? It'll just jump at the same level so it doesn't hit its head again. So a lot of times we get hit in the head. Right? We just do. Like mentally, we get hit in the head, and then we may not think we're good enough. And so we're just not taking the action. So I think we have to push our thinking all the time. It's super important, right? To push that thinking all the time, because when things go wrong, it's easy to focus for too much and too long on what's going wrong. And it's the old, I have this success formula that I came up with, and it's K plus S. So K stands for knowledge, S stands for skill. So let's say a goalie wants to play pro. So he's got a certain amount of knowledge, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, say 5 points out of 10 knowledge to play pro. Say skill is 5 out of 10 to play pro. So 5 plus 5 in brackets equals 10, right? And they go out there, they got lots of enthusiasm at first, so they take 10 points action. So 10 plus 10, so you multiply it by the action they take. So the knowledge plus skill in brackets combined, so that would be 5 plus 5 equals 10, times 10 points action gives them a score of 100. Well, let's say it takes a score of 200 to play in the National Hockey League or to play pro, right? So 200. So they take 10 points action, and they get cut. Well, what do most people do after they get cut? Are they excited? Do they take just as much action? No, they take less action. Right? They get devastated. A really neat story is Lance Mays. You probably never heard of Lance Mays. Now Lance was a goaltender. I started working with him when he was in midget. It was like 15 years old. It was called midget. I don't think it's called midget anymore. It was called midget back then. Can't we even say that word anymore? I don't know idea, but it was called midget back then.
Sure.
Okay. So it's 15 years old, and Lance is a great kid, great person, and his coach said, Lance is a good kid, but he said he'll never play junior. He's not good enough to play. He's not big enough or good enough to play junior. You hear that a lot from coaches. They put a level on a player, right? They don't know their potential. So I said, okay, you think so? I didn't say anything, right? The guy's a friend of mine. The coach is a friend of mine. He didn't tell Lance that. He told me that. And so Lance tries out for Victoria at the time, junior A. It's called the Victoria Salsa back in the day. What a name for a junior A team. He gets cut. I'm actually in the room with the coaches when they're evaluating Lance because they wanted me to help out with the goaltenders there. And they're laughing when his name came up. And so Lance, he calls me after. I'm like, no big deal, Lance. What team is next? And so he calls, where does he go? He calls Merritt, I think, goes to Merritt Centennials, junior A. Tries out there. Gets cut. Calls me after him. Lance, that's awesome. He's like, what do you mean that's awesome? I go, you're getting closer. He goes, why? He goes, you are. What's next? What's the next team? So he goes to Chilliwack. He tries on Chilliwack. Gets cut again about a week later. Same thing. Lance, that's great. You're getting closer. And so he's getting fried. Go, I want you to write me a letter. Write me a letter of what you learned, why you're now a better goalie, and what you're grateful for. So he put together that letter. He went to the next team, Langley. He stays in Langley for 2 or 3 weeks. They finally cut him. There was no more teams that he could try out for at that point in time in the year. So he had to go back and play junior B. And so he's playing junior B in Victoria. Halfway through the year, Langley calls him up. And he plays the rest of the year there. The next year, he makes a BC Hockey League All-Star game. and he gets a full scholarship to the University of Alaska. I think it was Fairbanks or Anchorage, one of the two. I think it was Anchorage. And he goes there, and he plays well, and he signs pro, comes out of college, signs pro. He's playing the ECHL, and Alaska is then coming to Victoria to play they had the team, Victoria Salmon Kings, right? And Victoria Salmon Kings, that same midget coach that Lance had, happened to be the head coach of the Victoria Salmon Kings for that game. He wasn't the regular head coach. He was the assistant coach, but the head coach got suspended. And so this friend of mine was the head coach for the Salmon Kings for that game when Lance comes back, playing for Alaska in Victoria, plays against the Salmon Kings, shuts him out 2-0. Right? And the only reason, to me, the reason that happened was because every time Lance got cut, he went to the next team with just as much enthusiasm or more. Because, and if you look at that, go back to that success formula. So you got 5. So let's say you try out for a team, you get cut. Well, your knowledge is going to go up. Think of it. Your knowledge just went up. Your skill went up a little bit, right? Because you put more action in. So your skill. So now your knowledge and skill is, say, a 6 + 6 gives you a score of 12. But if someone only takes 8 points action, that's only 96. Right? 12 times 8 is 96. So now their success level goes down. But if they still take 10 points action, their success level is now at 120. It's 20% better. Right? So the key is whatever it's in, is just keep taking action. Right? The most successful people fail the most amount of times usually. But the problem is school makes failure a bad thing. The whole school makes failure a bad thing, right? You get these X's on your X on your test. You didn't study enough and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's the whole school system. That's a whole different story. That needs to be revamped big time.
Big time.
Okay. There we go. As I go off topic here.
Oh, no, it's okay, V. This is great. I have 2 more questions, but I don't want to take too much more of your time. You're so generous with your time. But speaking about success, I think one of your clients is Carter George right now. So second round pick of the LA Kings, got traded to Sault Ste. Marie. He's just like what an unbelievable goaltender. How is it working with him? It seems like within the last year the mindset has just been unbelievable. He's making some crazy saves, and he even scored a goal, I think.
I love working with Carter. He scored 2 goals, right, in the OHL so far.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get another one this year. Yeah. He is really good. And the thing about Carter is he is so dedicated, and it's so neat because when he's on, so the way I work my program is I'm on, I have Zooms with me and then I do a mastermind, right? So one of my first original masterminds that I did was there was like Stuart Skinner, Dylan Ferguson, Jeff Glass, Joel Hofer, right? They all end up playing in the National Hockey. So I do something similar now, but so I have a pros one, but a lot of times the pros can't make the pros Zoom that time. So they'll be on with 12-year-olds sometimes, right? So you get Carter George is on, and there's like, say, 12 or 14 years old, but it doesn't matter, right? It's the same stuff. They're all taking the same. So Carter is so dedicated to we do the drawings at the end of our sessions and stuff. So we map out the week or whatever we're going to do, and we do a powerful visualization on it. And he's really, really good human, right? So he's not just a great goaltender, he's a great person too, which is very important. I know Billy Ranford was a big influence in drafting him, and Billy just really likes him as a human.
That's amazing. Pete, we play a game at usually the end of the podcast episode called Quick Hits. 5 questions, just whatever comes to top of mind. Number 1, what one word that defines the elite goalie mindset?
Confidence.
Amazing. What destroys goalie's confidence fastest?
Thinking.
Best pregame meal habit for a goalie?
Raw steak.
Most underrated mental skill for goal?
Underrated mental skill. Visualization.
And last one, advice to your 16-year-old goalie self.
My 16, smile more, think bigger. Think bigger.
That is so cool. Pete, can't thank you enough for doing this. This was great. Just what an honor to speak with you and hear all your stories and all your experience. So I really appreciate it. This was really fun. And I can listen to you all day.
You got it. Look forward to meeting you in person one of these days.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, Pete.
Awesome. Okay, Vince, have a great one, my friend.
You too.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you, Pete, for coming on the show. So what did you think? Comment below to let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my channel with all your friends.